Hello everyone, I'm back with another video. Today is Sunday, and yesterday I competed in an online treasure cup. So I'm reporting back. Let's just call this event the warm-up event of the format. It wasn't my best day, but that's all right. I played it out, got heaps of reps in. I learnt a lot about the deck. And there is a lot to learn. The more I play this format, the more I play Ace, there is a lot to learn, and to get your game plans nailed in, like that, there's just so many game plans you have to have. It depends, like different game plan for every matchup, and then a different game plan whether you're going first or second. There's just a lot to learn. But I'm happy. Uh, we've got another one next weekend, so I can bounce back and go again. And as long as we keep improving, after next weekend's Treasure Cup, there's an in-person regional in December, and then of course nationals, which is pretty much the only one that counts in January next year. So you might notice something different. Usually we're on the sim, uh, but today we are in uh, a Google Slides presentation. I made a very crude slideshow just to have some slight visuals to chat about the event. Uh, if we have time, I might play just one single game just to keep up the uh, keep up the theme of the videos. But most importantly, I just wanted to chat about the event and what I what I learned from each game, uh, and then we'll talk about what those learnings mean for me going forward with the deck and what the ramifications are for my list. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, so I went 4 wins, 4 losses, and we'll go through them one by one. I won't talk too much about the specifics of what happened in each game, turn by turn, but yeah, and this is not written down, so I've got it roughly written down, but a lot of it's just going off by memory and it's not rehearsed or anything. So uh, forgive me if anything's a bit confusing, but feel free to drop a comment and I'll clear anything up. Okay, round one was against Green Zoro, and I lost. I don't like losing first rounds. It is terrible for your breakers, for your tiebreakers, and it just usually when I do well in tournaments, I get a good base of maybe in the middle, like towards the end of the day, I'm 4-1 or 5-1 or 4-2, and then you just sort of the probability of you getting a win, it's losing first round sucks. So I won the dice roll and I chose first. Look, I've been debating whether first was correct. Talked to a few people who also play Ace. They all say first. I think the logic behind for going first is that when if you play whatever your 5 Don and your 7 Don bodies, you'll have and even 3 Don, you'll have a Don attached to leader. So if you're taking life or if anything's dying on the board, you're getting an extra draw. I know sometimes when they play Law on 6, it does hurt and it feels bad, but you are drawing extra cards going first, and that's what you need in Zoro's extra cards. So the game went pretty standardly. Went as you would expect. We both had pretty good curves, uh, and the game came down to I had a 10 cost on board and nothing else, and my leader swing. He had 1 life, no blockers, but he had 9 cards in hand. I used 4 Don to put him down to 5 cards, and then I was going to swing 11 with leader and 13 with Newgate. I swung 11, but he drew into enough counter off the pudding, like a 0 cost event and a few 2Ks. So you could say he got lucky, but if you're relying on luck to win, you're not in a good position in the first place. But then, sometimes you have to take those shots, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So didn't this time. That's okay. Uh, I'm not gonna get salty about him drawing counter off putting. Like it's just that's yeah, it's gonna happen. Um, so yeah, after each game, I'm just gonna talk about what I learned for this game. So what I learned for this first Zara match. So first thing I learned was Tenkosh Shanks is a problem card. Uh, you he played it on curve. So when they're going second, this is one advantage they do have is they get to play this card. Uh, if you need to make sure you have Red Rock available for it. If you can't Red Rock it, usually so he plays this and then he swings huge. You're probably down to 1 or 0 life after that. And if you don't Red Rock it, this 12k swing with his leader and probably a Tashigi or a lower swing, it's too much. You'll run out of cards. You'll lose. You have to like I maybe there might be situations where you won't lose. Maybe you did a really good job of protecting your life. Maybe you got really crazy draws, or he low rolled on his bodies or whatever and couldn't like. But if the game's going as it should and he sees his cards and you see your cards, when he drops this and then swings big, if there's sticks on the board, you'll probably lose. So I luckily had a red rock ready, and on my following turn I red rocked and played Marco. But it still sucked. You want to be developing a second 10 drop. I only got to put one down, and then that's all I had. Because I played Marco the turn after, and then he's still swinging big at me, and I don't have that extra 12k body to block with, or to protect me, or put to put lethal pressure on. So yeah, Shanks definitely need to try and find or try and hold on to a red rock for the Shanks. And you also need to make sure you're maximizing that 4 Don that's left over, whether that's uh, dealing damage to put yourself in lethal, like whether you can go for lethal the turn after, or putting down a Marco, or attaching Don and killing a character. Yeah, because Red Rock by itself, because they basically they still got to do their turn. They still got to use 10 Don to swing at you, which against Ace is really they only need to swing at you big with leader, and it hurts. So you're using 6 Don for nothing really. Like it doesn't. Him playing Shanks doesn't. It's I would say it's not 6 Don worth of value. It's not a fair trade, if that makes sense. We're losing that trade by red rocking this Shanks. But yeah, so that yeah. Luckily I had a red rock, but if you don't have a red rock, you might be in trouble. One other thing I learnt was when so that marker I put down with the red rock, I blocked with it on that turn, and then off the top of my deck, I drew a Roger and a secret rare ace. Oh, by the way, if you're new to the channel and you're tuning into this, just you can go back to my last video and just check out the list that I use for this event. I'll go back to the sim just after this slideshow and go to the list. But if you want to look at the list for reference, I probably should have put it in, but you can go check out my last video. All right, but yeah, I blocked with Marco and I drew 2 bricks off the top. And then my last life was also a brick. So when Marco draws bricks, it feels really bad. Because you're relying on Marco to survive. Usually if you're putting down a Marco, you're trying to just get more cards to survive. And when you're drawing bricks and you've already probably got a brick in hand, you can only leader ability once a turn. So Marco drawing bricks feels really bad. I'll probably have to look, see where I can cut bricks down. All right, but yeah, could have won that game if he drew bricks, but I didn't. So it is what it is. On to the next one. Round 2 was against Imu, and I lost. So 2 losses to start the day. It was grim. Felt pretty bad. This I lost dice roll and I went first, and yeah, the game the game was actually going okay at the start. I played my Sanji on 3 Don, into a Marco on 5. He killed the Sanji, but then the Marco stayed alive, and then on 7 Don, I put down another Marco, and then oh, yeah, and then I think he didn't have, and then like he didn't have Mars or something. So then the Marcos survived, or they drew me a bunch of cards. But then so like as far as going first goes, it was looking okay. But on 9 Don, I didn't hit my 8 cost event combo, so I was down a Newgate, and then once he started playing Elders, it was GG. So yeah, after digging like when I think I on the 7, I think I blocked with one marker, let swung with the other one, let that go, and then I drew like 5 cards, 6 for turn. I think I used an Izzo ability, so I dug like 7 cards through my deck. I'd already searched a few times, and yeah, didn't have the event combo, so that kind of sucked. And that was basically the game. But yeah, so what did I learn from that matchup? Going first sucks. It is so hard. Everything you need to play so optimally. Everything needs to go your way. You need to make sure you have so many extra cards to make up for that delayed 10 cost turn. Uh, this is this is going to be our hardest matchup you'll face in the format, I think, which is Emu going first. There could be some other rogue decks that completely, like like Sabo, if Viharal's is probably pretty bad, but overall, in terms of things that you really need to prepare for, if you're playing Emu and you lose the dice roll, uh, you're more than likely going to lose. That's just I'm confident in saying that you're more than likely your average player going first. You're going to struggle 9 times out of 10, and it's not your fault. That's just how that Emu is just a really good deck. Going second, they just get a major advantage, and we can't put by the time we can't put enough 10 drops down to go for our Roger lethal. We just run out of cards before we can get enough down, and they kill us. Um, yeah, it's something where I think you've got to really know the deck. You've got to make sure that every single time, like every turn, you're maximizing your leader ability. You don't take a life if a character has died, or don't uh, if you've what's the opposite of that? Defend a character if you want to take a life that turn, or think like you got to play, you got to maximize your card draw. You have to see you have to see Yamato and Marco on 5. On 7, you have to Jozu to pick up 2 searches, or you have to play another Marco or Yamato. Fill your hand up as much as possible. So then when you start playing your 10 drops, you can hopefully survive. You probably ideally you'd play 4 big bodies, then go for Roger, then try and win. But it's really hard, and it sucks. Uh, we can't complain because we're playing a meta deck that is very good. Ace won the event. Uh, you know, we can't like I know we can't complain. When we go second, they probably think it's very hard as well. But yeah, going first, it's I'm gonna try. Every time we verse him in the sim, I'll pick first because there's no point practicing second, because first, you're gonna play you're gonna play 3 4 emus in a day. I played 3, and you just need to going first in this. Yeah, this is the number one thing that I will be trying to practice, because it's not even really. Yeah, sometimes it feels like even if you think you see a good curve, it's still not enough. But there's probably some more little tips and tricks, like uh, 8 cost event into the 9 bid, the 9 cost Newgate, where you can go plus 4,000 power and go up to 10k leader, and little tricks like that that is probably necessary to win, that I haven't quite had the experience to utilize. But yeah, so That's what I learned from this game, is that just going first sucks. Oh, and of course, if you miss this combo uh, on your 8 Don turn or your 9 Don turn, in this example, you might as well just scoop up your cards and take a break, let the game finish. I mean, just like take the early loss and go have a break. And on the subject of breaks, about 7 out of 8 of my games for the day went to time. So yeah, as I said in a previous video, this format, you're not playing ace. You're not going to get many breaks. You're not going to get much time in between games. Uh, so yeah, sometimes if you don't hit this, and maybe you're starting to feel like you're a bit fatigued, or you really could use to go and get a drink, or you're hungry, just scoop. You're probably not gonna. You're not. I can't see us winning if we miss this on 9 Don. And only if you go on first. If you miss it on second, I'm not too sure. I didn't go second at all against Himu during this day, but yeah, if you miss this, just shake their hand. And look, I don't advocate. I'm not advocating giving up. Don't give up if you don't want. Play it out. But if you really feel like you need a break and all your games have been going to time, if you miss this, just take the chance for a break, I would say, because it is impossible. All right, next round. Finally got a win. It's against Roger. I lost dice roll. Went first. Uh, the game was pretty close. Uh, he did his ramp things. I played. I can't. I sort of, after 2 losses, my note taking kind of dropped off because I was a bit, uh, I was a bit sad. But I just remember the game being pretty tight, and then he was he did feel like he was kind of getting on top, but I got to 10 Don and I played an 8 cost event with an Uta blocker, and then having that extra Uta blocker just to protect my life, and he couldn't get me down to 0, and blockers in this are important. So that leads on to what I learnt. Uh, so before we get into the blockers, Rayleigh. Rayleigh is a very strong card. It does a lot for 8 Don. Like ramps you. It's got rush. 9K rush is nothing to sleep on. 9K rush. You rest a 5, so it can rest a 5 cost blocker, and it ramps a Don as active. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Very good card. And just got to keep in mind that Marcos, if you put down a Marco to try and refill your hand, they can just rest it and swing at your life. So don't put down Marco to try and get cards. Because yeah, Rayleigh just shuts that down straight away. But yeah, just remember that this is a card. If they're swinging with you with their leader, and it's maybe they attach one and swing 8K with their leader when they're on 10 Don, and you might think, oh, yeah, there's no more swings coming. I'll take this one. There could always be a 9K swing coming in after. So yeah, Rayleigh's really good card. But that leads on to the next one, which is Uta blocker. Uta blocker is 6 costs, so she can't be rested by Rayleigh. So you put her down late. Rayleigh can't rest her, and so they kind of think, well, they're not going to pay 8 Don just to get blocked. It puts them in some awkward spots, and yeah, I would say blockers in the late game, especially Uta. But other Marco, still if they don't have rally, or you just risk it. Blockers, Roger, it's a pretty straightforward deck. It just wants to hit you hard in the late game, put you to 0, and probably finish you off with 10 cost Roger. But blockers just buy you that little bit of breathing room, just to either, whether it's refilling your hand or get to play, buys you a turn to play another 10 drop. It's just, and then once you start stacking those 10 drops, they just lose anyway. So yeah, Uta can buy you a bit of time. Really good card. If you see this, don't ditch it for counter. Try and put it down with a new gate at the in the late game. Uh, Next round was the mirror. So I got my second win. I was 2-2. I was like, okay, it's a bit better. I won dice roll and I went second. Think this was to be honest, in round three, I wasn't really expecting. I sort of I forgot about Roger. Really, like I wasn't really expecting Roger. It's been a while since we versed it on the sim. Um, I just wasn't really expecting it, and my game plan for Roger, I wasn't that locked in on what I wanted to do, and it was pretty much the same for apart from the Zorro in the first round, the Emu going first, and then the Roger. Like when I don't have a clear game plan in my mind, that's when I lose. But I got to this round four into the mirror, and I went second. I won the roll. I knew what I was going to pick. I wanted to pick second, and then my game plan was clear in my mind. Uh, I was gonna, you know, I, opening hand had a Jozu, and it had probably one other piece that I could use on Tendon, whether it's a Red Rock or a Pudding, or I had a, 8 cost Newgate combo. I mean, event Newgate combo. So like my hand was good. I was happy. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I could tell how the game was going to go for the first 5 turns, and yeah, I played it well. He was probably less experienced than I was in the mirror. Uh, he sort of, I think I put down a Marco. I had Marco on 4. I had Jozu on 6, and then on 7 he bounced my Marco instead of my Jozu to not give me the Jozu back. But then on 8 Dawn I just searched for another Jozu, found it, bounced his Jozu. Then I had 2 Jozus, he's got none. And then from it's only little things like that where it just starts to snowball in your favor. But yeah, I'm Mirror. I was actually it felt good, and that was probably my funnest match of the day. I like mirrors when you know what you're doing, just because there's no real surprises from your opponent. Like yeah, I like mirrors. I like mirrors. So what did I learn from that? Jozu is to me the most important piece in the mirror. All the other pieces, they're situational. You might need them, you might not, depending on what your opponent does. But Jozu, you need 100%. Uh, so if you got an opening hand with a Jozu, and then the rest is kind of, you're not sure about, it's probably just worth keeping. It's just too good. It's too necessary. You need to, whether we like it or not, we're committing to the Jozu bounce game, and yeah, if you don't see it and they play theirs and you can't bounce it back, yeah, you're way behind. So Jozu definitely one of the most important pieces. What's next? All right, so yeah, next was Roger. I lost this one. I lost dice roll and I went first. Apparently they want to go second. So this game it went okay for me. I put down Marco on 4, and then on 6 Don, I could have Joe's. He played Bon Clay on 5. On 6 Don, I could have Joe's the Bon Clay, but I was missing. I think I had a 10 cost in hand, but I didn't have the event. And so I thought, okay, I've got a backup play here. I've got Atmos for the Bon Clay, and then I had 2 searches. So I'm like, sometimes you have to sacrifice playing a Jozu to search for your pieces for your 8 Don combo. So played Garp, no 10 costs of the top 4. Played Izzo, no 10 costs off the top 5. So I said, okay. Played the Atmos, bounced the Bon Clay back. His turn, he swung. I used Izzo ability, drew 1, no 10 cost, put 1 on the bottom. My turn came around, drew a card, still no 10 cost. And then, so I had no 8 cost, no combo. And that was pretty much GG. This guy was a good player. And he was pressuring me enough to where when I missed that, I just didn't really have anything else impactful to do on that turn. And then also when you miss that, you know, I guess my I guess a good tip for me would be, I know, let me just go to the next slide. I think so. Yeah, I just put this again for this. um, but I will say maybe maybe my problem was I let it tilt me too hard. You know, like I missed this and I thought, oh, it's over now. It does feel really bad, but if it happens and it's only against Roger, you know, don't let it tilt you as much as I did. I sort of put all my chips in with all those searches and I thought, you know, I'm going to find it. And when I didn't find it, I didn't even contemplate a backup plan or anything like that. So it was, it was GG. So I did, you know, mentally in my mind, I thought, oh, it's over, you know, but I still do think I did, you know, I still think this does stand. If you miss this, it's going to be hard to win. This is what we do. This is our bread and butter play. It's why the deck's good. And if you can't do it, uh, it's GG. So yeah, I don't know if I could have maybe done something differently in the early game to try and find one. Maybe I played an extra Otama or something just to dig a little bit more. Uh, but when I was talking about all those, you know, searches, I also took a life as well. So that was an extra card, wasn't in there. Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. There's not much you can do. But yeah, you miss this combo, and it feels pretty rough. Next round was Nimu, and I actually won going first. Now you might be don't cheer just yet because it wasn't a stereotypical, it wasn't a standard emo game. Uh, he played a bit differently than what I'm used to. Uh, the game, like I played it as best I could early. He didn't see many good pieces, and then I think uh, there was a turn where he had a rested character, and I swung into it like with an 8 and a 9, and then he ditched like a lot of cards to save it, maybe 4 cards out of hand just to save one of his characters. And I think it's because he was worried that I think it was a Nostra, and he was worried because he didn't have a 10 drop for the turn after. But then he got down to like 3 cards in hand, and then it just kind of, when they only got 3 cards in hand, you can kind of smell blood in the water, and you know that you don't actually need many new gates to get through. And I think Roger won me with only like 2 of them on board or something like that. So he dropped too many cards to save a character. Um, he also one thing I did do was uh, he double Walkuried on one turn, and then I played a 10 drop, and I had an 8k swing and then a 9k swing from Jozu. But so Walkuri is the one that draws you a card on KO. I think it's Walkuri. Anyway, so he had 2 of those standing, and then I just decided not to swing. Don't give him any draws. Uh, he was, you know, he obviously did that trying to find pieces, and then I denied him of the draws from that, and it ended up working really well. You know, all you're doing is just by swinging is giving them blocks, and they're getting a cut. So if they've got more than one Walkyrie, even if they've got a Walkyrie and then a Mars, if you're not going to deal the damage, there's no point swinging. There's no point giving him a draw. So you see, it's tiny little decisions like that that when you're going first, you need to do correctly every time to get some kind of advantage. So yeah, what did I learn from this game? Yeah, if they misplay or they're really low roll and they don't find their different pieces, then you might have a chance. That's what I learned from that game basically, which didn't fill me with much confidence. But anyway, so I was 3-3 at this point. Round 7 was Zoro. A one dice roll went first, and I ended up winning this game. It went pretty clean. I saw Yamato on 5, Jozu on 7, uh, 10 cost on 9, and then he didn't play Shanks, So then I'll play it. So he just went sort of wide with more laws and maybe a Cavendish or something. I played. So then that gave me an opportunity to play 9 cost Newgate, and then that bought me a turn to play another 10 costs, and then I basically won from like you once you start getting like 3 big guys. Yeah, it was I he had no choice but to go for lethal, but I had enough counter, and then he had to swing with his laws to go for lethal, so he had no blockers, and then I just killed him from there. So yeah, this was a pretty clean game. Went exactly how I expected it. I mean, like how you would, how you would hope it would go. But yeah, so I was 4-3 at this point. I said, look, there's one more round. If I can get a win here, you know, I'll actually be feeling okay. But so what did I learn from this matchup? 9 cost Whitebeard. It's really good in Sorrow. Once as soon as they get maybe they got like a law Toshigi or 2 Toshigis, you put this down, and yeah, for every Don that they have to commit to a character to swing at you, it just makes the double attack from leader way less hard to deal with. Uh, this is probably MVP in this matchup if you play it at the right time. Really good card. So yeah, really this overperformed for me against Zoro. Uh, so yeah, into the last round, I thought if I can win this, you know, maybe even had a sneaky chance of top 64. But it was another emu, and I lost the dice roll, and I had to go first. Uh, so one thing I'd like to talk about here quickly, I've I've been under the impression that when you go first, you need to play aggressively so you can get him down to that 2 life. So then when you start doing your Newgate stuff, you can eventually kill him because if when I've played against Emu, you'll see in my previous videos on when they sit at 3 life, they're almost impossible to kill. So I thought you get him down to 2, and that's how you win. But I don't actually think that's the case. I saw on 3 Don, I saw my Sanji. On 5 Don, I didn't see Marco or Yamato. So I just put 2 on my Sanji and I swung 8k, and I put 3 on my leader and I swung 9k. He took, and he went down to 2. So I was thinking, okay, I'm in a good spot. If I just play clean now and I do my stuff, I'll be fine. Uh, but because I didn't see that Marco or Yamato on 5 Don, even though it would have got KO'd by Mars, I didn't draw as many cards. And then his hand was about sitting at 9 cards. So then I'm trying to start doing my thing, but he's like, from that 2 life I've dealt early and from everything else, he's starting to, he's seeing everything he needs to on curve. He's not missing any pieces. He's seeing extra counter events. And even though he's at 2 life, because I didn't draw 2, and then he just got my hand just lower and lower, and then I couldn't even get a chance to kill him. So I played maybe 1 or 2 10 costs, and then I just ran out of cards and lost. So the aggression part, I think, I don't think that's not how you win. You win by you have to make up because you're a turn behind with the 10 drops. You have to make up that turn by just drawing as many cards as possible and having a huge hand. So then you basically have to have a whole turn's worth of like 5 Elder loop, like all the 8k attacks. You got to have like basically all the counter for a whole turn worth of that extra than you normally would, if that makes sense. So yeah, what did I learn from that game? I learned that going first sucks. I'm sitting there at the end of this tournament, 4-4, and I'm thinking, oh boy, if you lose dice roll, it is an uphill battle. But I'll work on it. It's probably I just got to improve my gameplay. I've got to be everything's got to be perfect, and eventually I'll learn every little trick that this deck can do, and I will adjust my deck list, and you know, I'll try and make, because yeah, you can't let a dice roll decide your fate. So you, going first in this matchup is something that I'll just put a lot of time into and really figure out. But at the moment, if you haven't had that much experience into it, and you're still learning the deck, it's going to be rough. So just don't get discouraged. If you go to locals and you verse just 4 emus and then you lose dice roll 4 times, then you go 0-4 for the night. you know, don't cry in the car on the way home. Like I've done that before back when I was first starting, and it sucks. Losing sucks, and going 0-4 at local sucks. But this is out of your hands. This is nothing you can do. Like this deck. Emu is crazy powerful. We're crazy powerful as well, but they're also crazy powerful. And if you lose the dice roll and you lose the match, it's don't beat yourself up. There's nothing. Sometimes there's honestly, without being like the most sublime ace player, you know, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle. But yeah, so that was my day. Um, that's the last slide. Uh, it was a good day. I wanted to play it out for you guys, so I had something to report back on. Maybe if I wasn't doing these videos, I would have lost twice and then thought I'm just going to play the third round so I get my prizing and then go back to bed or go and do something else with the day. But I wanted to play it out. I'm glad I did. I learned a lot. Uh, I'll be way more prepared for next time. And so if you don't go through these experiences where you just like lose badly into this certain matchup, you know, the same thing would have happened next week, and I would have been like asking the same questions after next week, going, "Why? Why is this happening? Why is it so hard?" So anyway, but yeah, no, it was a good day. It was a good day. I learned a lot, and we'll keep grinding this week, uh, and we'll try and do better the next time. Uh, I'm gonna jump over into the sim, and we'll just have a quick look at my list, and then I'll just talk about what I think needs to change based on the event. Um, so yeah, I'll jump over the sim and I'll see you guys there. Alrighty, we're in the sim. Got the list loaded up. This is the list that I ran, and yeah, we'll just talk through from those learnings that I found what changes should be made. So one thing that stands out to me is drawing bricks off the marker. Uh, it really sucked, and I have to minimize the amount of bricks in the list. And sadly, the biggest brick that I I really wanted to work, and I love everything this card does. But in terms of hierarchy of bricks in the deck, you've got you know you can't cut this, you can't cut this, you can't cut this, and you can't cut this. So yeah, ace is probably going to have to go. It needs to be counter in those late game situations. If you can draw a couple of 1Ks or a 2K and a 1K off the marker, you're going to be in such a better position. This is not going to do anything for you late game. Maybe if you need some rush to win, but that's a very niche situation. Another thing I will say about ace is I put ace in. I've been hearing the whole time. There's like I'm not the only one. Like most of the time, people are referring to red Yamato, but everyone's saying, "Oh, I take Yamato in or I take ace in for Emu." And the idea is when you go on first, you play it on 7. You got those extra swings in, and that's all you need to sort of uh, to like to swing it in your favor. But the I don't think the aggression is what makes you win at all. So not only does the aggression, they either just like, yeah, you might burn one event, or like you're probably not even gonna. They'll just block one and give you a 3K counter event. That's all it's going to do, and you are going -1 in hand. You're not plussing anything in hand, and it's rested the turn after. I had a lot of comments saying, "Oh, but you know, like Nosturo, the horse guy, can swing into it. Isn't that bad? And I thought, no, that's not bad. Like if they're doing that, they're not searching or putting a blocker, so that's not bad. But no, it is bad. You don't want to give them any like as soon as they see a rested character, they think, great, that's just something that we can hone in on. They don't have to attach any Don. If they've got a Jupiter on board, they can just go. He can Nosturo comes down, he goes 7 into 5, asks for 2 cards immediately, and then if you let it die, activates your leader ability, and then you can't take any life if you want to maximize your leader ability. So I don't actually think the aggression against, yeah, as I said, the aggression against Emu is not how you win. You win by drawing a million cards. Ace doesn't do that. So yeah, Ace will be getting the chop. I'm sorry. Uh, I misled you guys a little bit by saying, oh yeah, no, I want my play style to be aggressive. It's how I want to play, and blah blah blah. All of that's wrong. There, at the end of the day, I want to win. The Ace list from the winning players, it's that way because that's the why you have the best chance. And yeah, Ace, even though I want to turn my card sideways and rush, and it just doesn't help. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't help you win. And that's why we're all here. We want to win. So Ace is going. But yeah, so Marco, that's 2 less bricks. I'll replace those aces with some counter, and yeah, that's that part sorted. I've cut 2 bricks out of my list. Another thing that stands out is Newgate. Newgate was really good against Zoro. It's also, you know, also maybe in the Emu matchup going first, you could put this down on curve on 9, uh, or with the event, you go up to 8k, and then that sort of relieves the pressure before, so they get an Elder's turn, but like it's not as many swings. I mean, like, maybe sorry, so they can play Elders on 10, but it's maybe hard for them uh, to utilize. Like that, it takes a lot of pressure off. So that could be, I think this is a good card. I think it needs to go back to 2. So now I know, I just said I wanted to get rid of bricks, and I'm putting another brick in to replace Ace, but we will make the next slot will be counter. So we are swapping 1 brick for 1 piece of counter, but we do need to put 1 brick back in for Newgate. Um, Obviously the elephant in the room is Sanji. I honestly think that I honestly think that it didn't feel bad to play. Um, you know, like it still kind of ties into our strategy. The fact that it draws a card on KO does still tie into what we want to do. Like it's still digging through your deck. My only problem with it is that because I was whiffing those 8 cost combos a couple of times, when you're going first and then you play Searcher into Sanji, into Yamato, into Jozu, you're only getting 1 search. So before the eight cost event combo, you're only getting 1 search on your 1 Don turn. And I know Sanji's drawing you a card, but for those 3 Don, you might have an Izzo in your Garp or something in your hand that you can't play because you want to play the Sanji. And then maybe the question I have to ask myself is that 3 Don turn better spent just setting up for the combo instead of using it to put down Sanji? Another thing is, for some reason, I thought Kuina and Zoro wasn't like they dropped that for all the other new stuff they have. But first round, I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the breakdown, but my very first round, I had a Sanji in my opening hand. I said, "Yep, great, this is good into Zoro," because it puts pressure on it and it also draws me a card. But then on 2 Don, they searched, and then the first card they searched was Kuina. So I thought, oh, okay. Uh, Not putting Sanji down now then, like because that would just be too free for them. So that is kind of annoying. In the mirror, it's not going to do anything for you on 4 Don. they'll just play Marco. That like Sanji's not doing too much in the mirror against Imu. As I said, the aggression doesn't do too much, but it is decent into Imu. You know, like the 6k, like it is asking for cards. If it does deal the damage, well then that's good. And then if they kill it, like it's not bad. It's not a bad. I think it is a good card, and I think it does a good job at what it does. Uh, and it does suit my playstyle, and I love swinging early with it. It's just if I was giving up, like missing the Newgate combo is the most infuriating thing. Maybe I could just drop it down to 2. So then if I don't look, maybe I won't have any searches to play. So then I can put this down instead. But in terms of playing it, so and then oh, I'm going first. I'm going to play Sanji. That can't be a concrete rule because you might need a search. You probably will. It's probably better to search because your 10 cost Newgate play on 8 or 9 Don is infinitely more powerful than just putting down Sanji. So maybe she just becomes just a backup option. Maybe you've got the combo in your hand, you can put her down, but I don't know. Maybe I'll maybe Yamato is more reliable. I think she's pretty vital to see. So I definitely would cut this down to 2 if I wanted to keep it in, and then put Yamato back up to 3. Uh, you, against Emu going first, you have to draw cards. You have to draw as many cards as possible. And then, even though you've got 4 Marcos and 2 Yamatos, you still might not see them. You want to be playing both of these on 5 and 7 Dawn. So it's really against Zoro, it's really good. It's just a good yeah, it's a great card, obviously. And if we're talking strictly about Emu going first, it's better. It's better than Sanji, and it's also very vital, very vital. I would almost go as far to say, let's just get rid of the Sanjis. It was a good experiment, but for Yamato, you know, it's necessary. And then I think we're basically going full circle back to where we started. But the next thing I was going to talk about is playing an Izzo late game. So just say you have 3 bricks in hand, right? You play an 8 cost event into a new gate because you want to have some Don left over, so you can play an Izzo, and then that Izzo lets you want to be able to cycle your bricks out of your hand because you're thinking, I've got too many bricks, I want to play an Izzo so that I can start rotating my hand. Sometimes when you play Izzo, you know, there's not that many targets to get counter off Izzo. You know, Waipu Pirates, brick. Waipu Pirates, brick. 1k, Waipu Pirates, brick. 1k. So far, out of all these Waipu Pirates cards, we've got 6 cards that have counter. Not Waipu Pirates. She can't search herself. Not Waipu Pirates. Brick, Waipu Pirates. Not Whitebeard. And also not Whitebeard. So the cards that have counter in the whole deck, Waipu Pirates, are Jozu, Atmos, and Thatch. If you're going to go for that late game Izzo search, so you can have that ability to cycle, you want to make sure you're picking up counter. Otherwise, that's not going to work, is it? So this is where I'm thinking this needs to get bumped up with these last 2 slots that we've got. It could be anything. I saw the guy win the championship today in Japan with Kingdu. I have no idea what benefit Kingdu has. Like, I don't know what he's using this over because he didn't run Thatch at all. He ran 2 of these instead. Like, there's comparing this to Red Jozu, who has like Rush if you need it. I don't know what this is doing. Like, you can play it on 4, I guess, in the mirror if you wanted to put like some pressure down or something, because if they bounce it back, it's a 2k back in your hand. But that's all it's really doing. I don't know why he played King Du. Maybe he just likes that character and he put it in because he knows it's just a 2K anyway. But then I think if you're going to do that, Thatch just has way more potential. Uh, you know, like, oh, one thing I forgot to talk about was in my Imu game, the one that I won, that was a bit sort of back and forthy and a bit weird because he played a bit weird. I actually ended up putting down a Roger early, rushing with it, dealing a damage, and then the turn after that, I won with Thatch. So I did get a use out of it. So don't know what he was talking about with the King Do, but yeah, I you do need to wipe your pirates 2K. Uh, you could put anything in. You could put Jozu in if you like Jozu, because the rush might be relevant at some stage. You know, late game having a rusher can be the difference between winning or losing. So put Jozu in if you want to put Jozu. I don't doesn't really matter what 2K you could put in. You could put in any White Beard Pirates 2K, but it's just I think having 4 White Beard Pirates 2Ks just so that Izzo has something relevant to search in the late game. I think that's pretty good. So yeah, we're waffling a bit. It's getting a bit long-winded, but I think we're back to square one. This is back to Jellybean's list. He's a pro. I'm not. I tried to make changes. I'm sorry if I misled you or made you think that, that I knew what I was doing. I did know what I was doing. I was tired and depressed last week, and you know, just to, I don't think I'll have time to play any games this video, but just to wrap up, you know, what it means, that what all this means for me moving forward is just that, Whitebeard's not the deck. I mean, Ace is not the deck that I thought it was going to be. I didn't expect it to be this rigid in its playstyle. Uh, you know, I thought 6K leader, it's red. You're going to be putting on pressure, doing damage. Like I've come to the conclusion that really you don't even want to swing that much sometimes. I think starving is even a better strategy for us half the time because we win in the late game, and the less cards they have to try and kill us before we stack these, uh, starving is almost a better option. And like really, like you're playing a red deck and you want to starve? Like that's, it's been hard for me to accept that. I didn't know what I was getting into with this deck, and it's a lot different than what I thought. But when you compare it with the other 3 meta decks, Zoro, pretty boring. Like it's not blue. I want to play a blue deck. Imu, I don't like playing decks with like sort of villains in them. I'm sure there's other people out there like that. Like I can't bring myself to support the villains of the series. Sometimes I play a villain, obviously. If it's blue, it's been a lot of blue decks with villains in them. But yeah, I won't go too much out of my way to play a deck that's got evil characters in it. And also, yeah, yeah, black. I like black. I think I would like the way Emu plays, but I want to play blue. I want to play Ace. I'm going to stick with Ace, but that just means I got to come to terms with the fact that it's not the deck that I thought. It's different. You know, you're not going to be able to swing early. You're not going to put any pressure on. You win by being smart and calculated, and there you've got a puzzle to solve, and you got to solve the puzzle is how do you get the most amount of these on board before you lose, so you can win with Roger or just swing out and win. And then yeah, you've got to navigate the earlier turns to solve that puzzle and get to the and get to that last step. It's different. It's really different. But I'm sure once I get the hang of it and I accept that, this list is the best list, and you accept that all you're going to be doing in the early game is just drawing cards and setting up and searching. Um, Once I accept that, yeah, I'll I'll swallow my pride. I'll learn the slow ways. I'll be patient, and yeah, we'll start winning again. So this is the list we'll be moving forward with all week. I don't think, yeah, I'll take this one to locals Tuesday. I've got a video tomorrow where we'll actually play some games. So tune into that. Tuesday, I'll take off for locals. Wednesday, I've got something on, so I won't be able to make a video then. Then I'll do one Thursday, Friday. Got another tournament Saturday. And yeah, we'll keep going. All right, guys, if you watched any of this or all of this, thank you so much. It was a lot of chat. Uh, I hope there was something of value in it. I ignore my previous lists. They're not optimal. We want to play 4 Yamato. We want to draw cards. Forget about swinging. We still will play. We'll still try out some spicy builds though, just to take the edge off. So we're not just getting bored and doing the same thing all the time. But I still want to try out all those crazy lists. Try and build an Odin list. Try the animals out. You know, we'll try. We'll still cook with it. Maybe something will reveal itself. But the problem we have is Imu is so damn strong, and going first is such a disadvantage that if you don't follow the specific rules and do this stuff and draw cards, you're going to lose. So, like Imu puts us in this awkward position where it robs us of any flexibility in the list. But that's fine. We play this game to win, and so that's what we'll do. All right, everyone. Thanks very much. I will catch you tomorrow night.